Hey everybody, what's going on? Nick Hamilton here in Angel Stadium, where we witnessed Joe Maddon, who is officially the Angels manager moving forward. And we also got some gems from Joe Maddon as far as how his philosophy will be managing the team. Also, we had a chance to speak with General Manager Billy Epler, as well as Angels owner Artie Moreno. Make sure you stay tuned and keep it locked right here. And make sure you follow me on all things social media at Nick Hamilton LA. Stay tuned. I was in that process of going through it, hiring Joe Maddon, and then talking to him in that whole process.
I mean, Joe was one of the early candidates that we met with, and you know, getting to know him a little bit more intimately than from across the diamond for so many years in the AL East, you know, was pretty rewarding for me. You know, one of the things that he and I talked about through the interview process was being vulnerable with each other. You know, and you know, that to me means exactly what he said up there on the podium. You know, you kind of say how you're feeling about things and really not be afraid to be yourself. And so it was a good process. And a lot of the candidates we spoke to were, you know, a lot of them had pretty impressive resumes among themselves too. But ultimately, you know, we arrived at Joe, and couldn't be happy.
Fans, I mean, we are in the really entertainment business, sports/entertainment business, and you know, if you want people coming to the ballpark and you want people watching or listening or reading, you know, you want to be able to put a product out there. It's like, you know, whether you go to a restaurant and you're not comfortable there, you just say, you know, I'm not going back. And we have a lot of loyal fans. We've built a loyal fan base, but the reality is we need to perform. So when people come here, they have fun. You have a little bit more fun when you're on the winning side. I
mean, you know, history's been a pretty good guide for things, and we have a strong farm system, and especially the guys at the upper level. You know, you mentioned Jared Walsh and Joe Adell, and Brandon Marsh is performing extremely well in the Arizona Fall League, and some of the players that you saw, you know, get called up here a little bit earlier than they probably should have been. You know, Joe's had success breaking guys into the big leagues. That's kind of been part of his DNA, and so. You know, it stands to reason that he'll have success doing that here.
The on-field stuff, the manager has a lot to do with. When you talk about fundamentals, whether it's team defenses, cutoff and relays are part of team defenses. The offensive side of the thing, we're kind of joking with the bunny, but there still is a time to bunt. There's still a time to attempt to hit and run. There's still all these different times to do different things. In the spring trainings with the Rays and the Cubs, I was able to really incorporate a lot of my teachings that I had gotten from here in the past and put them into both of those situations. Turned out pretty well both places. But the stuff that I'll bring here is the stuff that I learned here in the late 70s and the early to mid 80s. You could not have had a better group of coaches. It's impossible. And today's game, everybody's, you talk about analytically heavy, that's wonderful, but analytical dudes don't know how to teach the game. They know how to provide you information. And then it's up to good coaches to be able to teach the game. I don't think people talk about that enough. Yeah, Artie was very adamant that he's all in regarding pumping this whole thing up and trying to get the right people here. And he's always been that guy. Yeah, I mean, Billy's really great to work with already. He's wide open. He's already been throwing at me the different scenarios that he's envisioning, and I'm really waiting to hear about all that. If some of this stuff comes to fruition, we're all going to be very happy. So you just got to wait and see how it all plays out. It takes two to dance. Everybody's got theories. Everybody wants to do certain things, but you got to get to the point where it's feasible on both ends and it eventually works. But his thoughts are really
Joe, you talked about earlier about your experiences being a baseball player. They said you weren't that good, but what are those experiences translating to you being a great
football player now?
Yeah, that's what I heard.
Okay. That's
but
like college.
Taking some of those experiences, how did they translate for you to become a great manager that you are today?
Well, you know, when I was first I broke my finger in my first camp, so I was out for the first 2 months of the season. I'm sitting in the bullpen at Quad Cities, and managers kind of like started, you know, utilizing me to do things, whether it's warm up pitchers, ask how the guy's doing. I was catching workouts. Eventually I worked for Chuck Cartier, and I'm Cartier's backup catcher, which made me his bullpen coach. So this whole time as a catcher and working for managers that asked my opinion, I started to formulate them. And on top of that, being around Marcel Latchman and Joe Coleman in particular and Bob Clear, I was able to really understand pitching because of these guys. So I've always known, becoming a major league manager, the first thing you really want to do or understand is how to work with pitchers.